Welcome to Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. I'm Julia Elliott-Brown, the founder and CEO of Enter the Arena. I'm a serial entrepreneur and an expert in raising investment and business growth. Our mission at Enter the Arena is to empower female founders to fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business with investment expertise and business coaching. Here we share the stories of inspirational female founders who've raised investment to inspire you to do the same. You'll hear their honest accounts of what it was really like to secure funding, the highs, the lows, and the challenges they experienced on the journey. And along the way, we'll discuss top tips for how you can be successful too. Today I'm speaking with Tiffany Kelly, the founder of Beyond Bamboo, an online marketplace where consumers and businesses can find ethical and sustainable goods and in the process help save the planet. As a serial entrepreneur, Tiffany has founded a number of organisations, including the leadership development organisation Roundtable Global and Phoenix Rising, a global movement and network of inspiring, action-oriented feminine leaders focused on making a difference in the world. She's a published business author, an inspirational speaker, talking regularly about female empowerment across the globe and spreading her passion about making world change by tapping into creativity, compassion, and feminine energy. Tiffany's been busy building and testing Beyond Bamboo since she founded the company in 2019 and has raised in total £400,000 in investment to help her build the community and movement. So let's meet Tiffany and discover more about Beyond Bamboo, her experience in raising finance for the brand and what she learned along the way. So welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you, Julia. Wow, that sounds fantastic. It's really nice to hear your bio coming back to you, doesn't it? Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Pleasure to see you. And you're in Portugal, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm in the Algarve. It's beautifully sunny today. We moved here during COVID to look after my parents and help them just while we're on lockdown, basically.
What a lovely place to be in lockdown. I wish I was there. So I'm dying to hear more about Beyond Bamboo. It sounds like a really intriguing concept. So what made you decide to start this business, Tiffany, given that you've got quite a lot of other things on your plate? I know you've got lots of initiatives you're involved in.
Yes. So really where it comes from is I've always had a passion for the environment. I was born vegetarian pretty much and into a family that wasn't vegetarian. So it was quite interesting for my parents to try and get me to eat meat and then realize that I wasn't going to. And I've always had this affiliation or this affinity more with animals and with the environment and wanting to make sure that we protect and restore all of the damage that we've been doing. So another thing that I've always been very passionate about is not buying leather or anything that I think could be harmful. And it's really hard to find that. And it's especially really hard to find that locally and to buy it without having to be delivered from all different places in the world. And I got really frustrated. And, you know, I was using Amazon like everybody else does because it was easy and efficient. And I just wished that there was somebody out there that was doing something like Amazon where I could just switch and I could have the same kind of experience and the same kind of range of products, but know that they've been vetted, they've been sourced locally and all of those kinds of things. And the more that I looked, the more I realized that there was a massive niche in the market for it. So that was sort of reason number one was for me. And then reason number two, under my leadership development company, Roundtable Global, we've got 3 global goals. And one of them is environmental rejuvenation. So we're committed to restoring and rejuvenating. So everybody's talking about sustainability, but to sustain means to do no more harm. And I really believe that we've got to go beyond that, which is why we've called it Beyond Bamboo, to restore and rejuvenate. And so our whole mission around the movement, the community, the marketplace is to encourage and inspire people to do that restoration and rejuvenation as much as possible.
Okay, so it's not just necessarily about new things, it's about restored, recycled, all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of marketplaces out there that are very focused on we're vegan, we're plant-based, and that, you know, that is amazing. You know, there's space for everybody. But what our passion is about bringing together organisations that have even started the journey or are doing things slightly differently. So with the whole refurbished and upcycled market, you don't see a lot of that out in the marketplaces, but actually that's the most sustainable because they've already been made, and you can make new things out of sustainable products, but the energy that goes into that and also the landfill that's being created by the old stuff is less sustainable. So our whole ethos is around working towards, and we're looking at organizations, whoever they are, wherever they are on the journey in terms of becoming more sustainable and ethical, and we want to help them. We want to help the communities that they're in, and we also want to open up the product range to be the refurbed and upcycled as well. And that's why we've got our accreditation is beyond sustainable, but it's also working towards. And part of our job, I suppose, as trusted advisors, is to give them the training, the knowledge, the resources, and that's very much what we're doing with our sellers through our community.
That's amazing. So it's businesses and consumers. Is it about bringing the two together, or are you also providing, or will you be selling products to businesses as well?
Yeah, so it started off as a B2C marketplace. So, people like you and I could go on there and just buy stuff. And we've got a whole look behind the label for every seller, so you can have a check out what causes they're into and why they're doing what they're doing, which is really great. But then as we started going, we realized that actually there was a need for a B2B marketplace as well, which was wholesale. And an amazing guy that I met called Tony Mataru sort of became a bit of a mentor for me. And he owns a chain of hotels. And he said, why don't you do this for hospitality? Because that's, amenities are fast moving, they're every day, they create a huge amount of waste. So he was a real inspiration for me in that space. And so we started looking at hospitality, and we started sourcing wholesale, and found out that there was no other organization out there that were supplying hotels that were only doing sort of the ethical, sustainable. There's a lot of suppliers out there that have one of their lines is ethical and sustainable, but not everything. So as far as we can see, we're the only organization at the moment that is supplying hospitality, and everything that we're doing is either sustainable, ethical, upcycled or recycled. And I can't say too much about it, but we're already sourcing for one of the global luxury hotel brands, 33 hotels around the world, and hopefully that will then spin off into lots of other hospitality organizations as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. So the potential for this business is huge, isn't it, really, Tiffany?
It really is.
So what's involved? So you're sort of still kind of pre-launch, aren't you? What's involved in getting a company like this off the ground? And just give us a sense for the kind of funding that you need before you can launch to make it happen.
Yeah, so we're at the stage now where coming to September, we're ready to launch both the marketplace and also the B2B catalogues for the hospitality industry. But it's been, over 2 years in the making, because we started just with an idea and nothing. We had no investment initially, and we were using marketplace stuff in the public domain and scrimping and saving and doing it as we could then. But as soon as the idea started to ignite and we realized that we'd caught on something, we were capturing people's imagination, and everyone was saying, wow, this is fantastic, we can't believe it doesn't already exist. And then when we were approaching sellers for the B2C marketplace, and we were thinking, well, why would they come sell with us when they've got their own websites? But actually what they really loved was the fact that we're creating a community, that we promote them, that we help them, we support them. So as soon as that started to bubble up, and then the B2B opportunity and accreditation as well, we realized that actually, if we're going to do this, we have to pause. We've got to rethink it all. We've got to develop some new technology, make sure it's all aligned. We've got to scale our team, and we've got to, if we're going to launch this in September, we want to do it in a way that everyone goes, wow. And so even the B2B experience, we wanted to replicate Amazon in the sense that the search criteria, our returns policies, everything, so that it's an easy switch, because we didn't just want to attract people that are already ethical and sustainable. We want to attract a normal person that just buys from Amazon and say, well, why wouldn't you buy from here? Because it's good, but you've got the same experience. So we've spent a huge amount of time looking at all of that and replicating it and making sure that everything's really slick for the launch in September. So if you think about that, that's 2.5 years of runway funding that we've needed. Pre-sales, so pre any kind of revenue at all. And to date, our revenue's been very tiny because we've just been user testing with friends and family. But we've been incredibly lucky to capture the imagination so much, even during COVID, when people were, very reserved about investing in things, to be able to get that runway funding that we need to take us to where we are today.
Yeah, I think that's the point, isn't it? Is that if you've got a really, really compelling proposition which everybody can get behind, and if you're a credible entrepreneur, it is very possible to raise money when you're really kind of at idea stage.
Yeah.
But it can still be challenging, right? So let's talk about the fundraising piece. So where obviously you've raised in total £400,000, and I know that you've done that over a period of time. So let's talk about that first bit of raising investment. Where did you start?
Well, we were incredibly lucky that when myself and my co-founders came up with the idea for Beyond Bamboo, my business Roundtable Global was doing well enough, was profitable enough that I spoke to my business partner, Dennis Murphy, and I said, look, I've got this idea. I really want us to go for it. And can we fund it through, because it's an LLP, so the profits of the organization come to us. Can we fund it through our profits? So myself and Dennis Murphy made a conscious decision to not take profits ourselves, and instead invested those into Beyond Bamboo. So the initial startup costs were all funded through that. So essentially, I guess you would say that Dennis and I funded the first 150,000 of it, and that allowed us to really make enough headway and to build the tech and to build enough of the team and to onboard enough sellers, so that when we then started to go out to other investors, they could really see, okay, this could be something very exciting.
Okay, so first bit was you, and then you were like, let's go out and speak to other investors. So who were the next lot of people that you spoke to, Tiffany?
So the next lot of people were friends and family, and friends and family, or friends and family, if you like. And we just really, our team is so passionate about what we're doing, and that when they were talking to their people in their ecosystem about Beyond Bamboo, and the feedback that we've had is that some of them have said it was just a no-brainer, because they wanted to do something that would make a difference. All of them are value-add investors in the sense that they have a passion about the environment, or they have a passion about vegetarianism or plant-based or whatever it might be. All of them are people that wanted to do something themselves but didn't know where to start or didn't have the time. And what we've done is we've made it really easy for them to get involved. And all of our investors are involved in terms of advice. So I had an investors meeting last night where as many of them as possible could join, and I was telling them the updates about what's happening with the business, and I was asking them for their ideas for people that they want to put in touch with us in terms of seller onboarding, and also openly inviting them to be involved in a bigger way if they want to. And they love it. You know, they talk about it as being part of the Beyond Bamboo family. So I think that's an important thing for us as well, is that we haven't had to date any investors that are just pocket investors. We've got investors that are heart and pocket investors as well, and love what we're doing.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it, to find people that are aligned with your vision and your passion to go on that journey with you. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and it feels good, because when we're having our updates and you can see that they're all really excited, and I know because they've told me, and also other people have approached me from the back of it, that they talk about it. They're like, oh, I'm involved in this company, and they talk about it as if they were part of it. And that's what I want. You know, I really want to create something that feels like everyone who's involved and contributes to it owns it, not just from a share perspective, but in terms of the feeling of pride around its success. Because Beyond Bamboo could be massive. You know, if we got the right funding in, we could replicate what we've created here in the UK anywhere in the world. And we've already, through the hotel chain that we're working with, we've already started to create that supply chain. So we know that it's possible.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit more about that kind of outreach that you did with friends and family and their friends and family, and the kind of the network connections. How did you do it? Did you send out an email? Did you have lots and lots of different conversations? Did one thing lead to the other? Tell us a bit more about the journey that you went on.
Yeah, so it started with a deck. So I knew nothing about investment when I started this process, because with Roundtable we were profitable straight away and we've never needed any investment. So it was very new to me, and I think I was pretty naive. But as my mum says, I can sell snow to Eskimos. So I think a lot of it is about passion and about getting people to understand the vision. So we started off with a deck, which has gone through so many iterations, and I've had so much conflicting advice about what should be in a deck. So we've got a couple of different versions now that go out to different people, because some people like it to be images and big numbers, and some people want just a load of detail. So we've got, a number of different iterations. And I did go out for advice on that. I've got a mentor that's working with me, Ursula Morgan, who's amazing, and she's been helping. But also my team, my CFO is a very seasoned person in terms of getting investment in, and he's an investor himself. But I would say about the deck, which is obviously one of the most important things to be sending out, is that there isn't any one real formula or answer. It really depends on the audience and what they want to see. So I think, to some extent, as long as it tells the story and it's got all the information in it that you need, the deck is about getting a meeting. And for me, that's been the main thing, is that if I can get a meeting with somebody who's genuinely interested in the deck, and then I can tell them about all of the rest of the stuff, because you don't want to put too much in the deck, because it frightens people that you're trying to do too much. When you speak to them, you can say, well, look, this is beyond the plan. So we've got big ambitions. We're focused here right now. But what we're putting in the deck is, our priorities for now. So I think, so it starts with the deck, and you've got to get your numbers. So, your 5-year P&L to show them what you're forecasting. And of course, it's finger in the air for new businesses, because you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in the world. But as long as you can defend what you've put in that P&L, and that's really important as well in terms of assumptions, and also you've done your market research, then it makes it much easier. So it's about those two things really, and then being able to pitch and to really, defend what you've put in front of people, know your marketplace, do the market research, look into the competitors and what they're doing, and you've got to have all of that information before you go and talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, and some really important points there, actually. I mean, I think I absolutely agree with you about the deck. I mean, there's no correct deck. There's no right or wrong, and you will get differing advice. But I think the important point there is that it's about getting a meeting, and anything you send to people should be a bit of a teaser, rather than thinking that your deck is going to completely sell your business for you. It's about you getting in front of investors, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that talking specifically about women, because as I've been on this journey, I've encountered a lot of organizations that have been set up to help women to get investment because the stats are really low. And I've also encountered a lot of women who are they're fearful of pitching, because they feel like they have to be masculine. They feel like there's a certain way that they have to be. And actually, I really would like to myth bust that, because what I've found across the board, because I'm raising investment for another business as well at the moment as well, just be yourself, be totally authentic as who you are. Don't try to be anybody else. As long as you know your stuff, and as long as you actually truly believe in what you're selling, other people will believe in it as well. And it's not about you trying to turn yourself into somebody else, or trying to have a formula that works for investors. I really think that people see through you and they feel you energetically. And I think the most important thing when you're pitching is that you've got to, first of all, know what you're saying is absolutely correct and defensible. And secondly, you've got to believe in it. You've got to believe in that it's an idea that you would invest in. And, my mum listens to me on the phone sometimes when I'm spending a bit of time when they're working. And she said, I would. If I could, I would invest. I mean, obviously your mums are always going to say that, but I think it's just about that passion and enthusiasm and just being real.
That's right. Well, I think there's something about the word pitch which can feel a bit off-putting to a lot of women. And I think actually, if you're doing it well, it should never really feel like you're having to pitch. Actually, it should feel like a really positive conversation that you're having with an investor, which is a very different thing. It involves really listening, asking questions. It's a two-way process to see if there's fit, rather than you having to sort of stand there and, vomit up your business plans. And I think that feeling that you've got to do a pitch can really feel off-putting. So it doesn't have to be like that. If you do it well, it should be a conversation.
I totally agree. And do you know what? It's interesting because the label pitch brings up the same fears in people as public speaking. And as soon as you know that you've got to do a pitch, then you sort of build it up into something. And interestingly, just 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation with a potential organisation that wants to invest in Beyond Bamboo. And I didn't know that they were, I didn't know they'd already decided that they might want to. And so I thought we were just having a chat, and I was just updating them on our traction to date. And so I was totally relaxed and, you know, having a really lovely conversation with them. And then at the end, they said, you know, we are actually interested in exploring investment. And when then I can remember getting off the call and I was shaking, and I was thinking, if I'd have known that before the call, I'd have gone into it shaking, because I'd have been nervous about it. And whereas I wasn't, because I was like, well, you know, I'm just going to update them. I don't know where it's going to go. But that conversation must have gone really well, because then I was invited to go and speak at a summit that they're hosting. So it's just interesting, isn't it, that the thing that limits us, the glass ceiling, I suppose, especially for women in this world, is us. And it's our belief in our idea and ourself. And because we're very much in our feminine, which is about other, we're constantly projecting our concern or our assumption that we're not enough, and that what we're bringing to the table isn't enough. And it is. And the reason why historically men, I think, have been better at pitching, is because they're much more in the masculine, which is self. And that's why men can say, I got a promotion because I deserve it and I'm great. And it's not arrogance, it's just masculine. And I think that it's finding your balance as an entrepreneur in your masculine and feminine, where you can ask for what you need without it feeling like an ask for help.
Yeah, that's right. It's about stepping into your own power, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Stepping into your own power as a founder. And yeah, that brings that kind of inner confidence. And as you say, those limiting beliefs really set us up for failure, which doesn't do us any favors. So yeah, I think there's a lot in that. And I think, you know, if I hear founders kind of saying things like, well, there's no point in trying for funding because women don't get funded, and sort of almost laying the blame on other people's door. I'm not saying there aren't systemic issues in the world of investment, because there definitely are, but we also have to take some responsibility for how we feel and how we project ourselves and how we, you know, go forward when we raise investment.
Yeah, so I totally agree with that. And one of the programs that I run through Roundtable is called Shine, and a big section of that is about this very thing, and it's about understanding that our beliefs create our reality. And because we have a fear of being wrong, we then we create situations where we have self-fulfilling prophecies. So if your language and your belief is I'll never because, then you're going to create that to become a reality. So part of the work I do on Shine is helping people to believe in themselves. I will because, instead of I'll never because. And I think that also it's like a protection mechanism, this whole thing that as a woman I'll never, because we have to step up, like you said, into our power and come out of our comfort zones and actually say, do you know what, this is a fantastic idea, I can absolutely make this work, and you're going to want to work with me and support me. And that feels a bit weird, doesn't it? Because we as women, we're not like that, but I think we have to be, you know, because I really feel like it's time for feminine leadership and responsible feminine leadership to come to this planet. And I think that the only way that we're going to be able to do that in a fast enough way to help make change happen is for more women to step up with their ideas and to run businesses and to be funded, and not just to be funded in a small way, but to get the hundreds of millions, you know, so that their ideas can truly become global. And, you know, that's where my sights are. You know, I really, really want what we're doing with Beyond Bamboo to become an alternative choice to what is out there now.
Yeah. And there's something in that as well, Tiffany, I think, about thinking big, which I think many female founders struggle with. You know, they will say things like, well, I can't, you know, I'm not sure if I can do that. And if I come up with those ambitions, people are going to think I'm mad. And of course, you never hear a guy say that. There's something in that we think that people won't believe it, and that we couldn't possibly aim that high, which again, I think is a shame, that limiting belief that we can only do something small. And, you know, and absolutely we can do something big, can't we?
Totally. But it's about, you've got to start valuing you before you can value the business you've created, because that's like an extension of you until you cut the apron strings and it moves on beyond you. And my ambition for Beyond Bamboo is that it totally outgrows me, because I want it to belong to, you know, a community, a global community of people that can take it even further. It's sort of similar to, I also have a charity called Legacy Project, and we run the Global Youth Awards. And I got my sister to take it over from me a few years ago now, because I wasn't been able to give it the right amount of attention because I was focused on the other businesses. And where she's taken it is way and above where I could ever take it. And it's, I think when you bring in an idea out to the world as well, it's about knowing that you want it to be more than you. And so you've got to value and believe in yourself, but you've got to believe that it's something that's going to make a difference and is more than you. And then it has the ability to grow beyond your limitations as well.
Yes. And I think if we can position it in that way, frame it in that way, it helps us, because we think, well, actually, I owe it to the world to make this business a success and to scale it, rather, you know, that I think women feel more comfortable with that somehow than saying, I want to build this business because I want to be a millionaire. So when we connect in with our true passion, I think that enables us to transcend some of those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the other thing that we've got to work on. It's funny because I was having a coaching session this morning, and she was mirroring this back to me. The other thing we have to work on is being okay about wanting a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like saying, okay, I want 100 million because I know what I can do with it, and I really believe that if I had that, we could do amazing things. And I think we're too tentative. We're too, you know, we're reluctant to value ourselves that high. And I think that we've really got to. And I'm sort of committed to try and become a role model that does that.
Yes, well, you know, I'm certainly getting that energy from you, and I imagine that all of those investor conversations you had a lot of that energy in them. Did you get any kind of pushback from people, or did everybody fall over like dominoes when they met you?
I wish I could say that was true, but no, definitely not. So there were definitely people who, so some of the pushback that I had was, we went to organizations that signed big checks, and we just weren't ready for that. You know, we were pre-seed, you know, this was just kind of runway to get us started. And then, so that was an organizational pushback, but every single one of those said, come back to us when you're ready. So we're just kind of getting some pitches ready for that now. And then with a couple of individuals, it was about them feeling like we were trying to do too much, which was fantastic feedback, because we had everything in the deck. You know, we had our dreams for 10 years time, and they were like, you know, you're trying to do too much here, which is why we really honed it to proof of concept in the UK in this year, the B2C platform, the B2B for hospitality and accreditation. That's it. So all of the other stuff, we've kind of left out the deck now. We're not really talking about, but it's still there. So for example, we're going to be looking into impact investing in the future, but that's down the road, so that we can invest in projects like ours and help them to make it much easier for them to grow to scale. So, you know, there's big dreams there, but I think that you've got to stay focused, and it's like, do that one, do it really well, get it sustained, self-sustaining, and then do this bit, do it really well, get it self-sustaining. And so, you know, again, I've been incredibly lucky to attract fantastic team members and real experts to help me to deliver that, because my area of expertise isn't day-to-day management. You know, I'm very, very visionary. I love the kind of the high level stuff, but when it goes down into the nitty-gritty, and with a business like this, you need somebody that's really, you know, project managing every single detail, and we've got that in the different areas. So we're really lucky.
Yeah, that's right. So it's sort of smaller steps towards big dreams. And I think what you said there is that, you know, investors need to know, well, if we're giving you this money now, what's that going to enable you to achieve? So they need to see the big picture.
Yeah.
They need to understand what is the short to medium term plan, and feel comfortable that you're not biting off more than you can chew. And that's not about not having ambition. It's just about being realistic, isn't it? About what you can achieve.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose also, you know, when you're spending other people's money, which is essentially what you're doing when you're getting investment, you've got to make sure, you know, you have you have a duty of care almost to make sure that that investment is going to grow, and that it is, it's going to be, the business is going to be self-sustainable, but it's also going to be profitable. Because even if it's a long-term profit gain for them, it still needs to do that because it's people's monies, and it's people's dreams. And so I feel that very, very powerfully. I feel like it is my responsibility, my job, to make sure that each of these investors has a fantastic journey with us and is involved as much as possible.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, is there anything that you would do differently, Tiffany, if you could go back and start that fundraise again?
So many things. I think what I would probably do is I would get somebody that's very experienced in raising investment to work with me at the very beginning, because I just kind of jumped into it. And I would definitely not regret the journey that I've been on, because I've learned so much, but it's taken much longer than it could have if I'd have just bitten the bullet and said, right, I need somebody to help me, I need somebody to look at my business and tell me what to do with this. But yeah, so I would say that as a helpful tip for other people. But in terms of my journey with it, I'm really glad that it all happened the way it happened, because like I said, I've learned so much. And now with my other business that I'm raising for, it's a much easier process.
Yeah. There's a lot to learn about fundraising, isn't there? And it's an ongoing learning journey. So what's going to be next for you? So launch is happening in September, which is imminent. Do you think the business is going to need a lot more funding to help you realize your ambitions with it?
Yes, definitely. So we're definitely looking for a much bigger pot of funding investment towards the end of the year. And that's really to prove concept in the UK B2C and then the B2B with what we're doing with hospitality. However, because of the work that we've done over the last 2.5 years, we've got such a good business model now. We've got such a good replicable marketplace, I guess, and team and so on, that if somebody came along with a big check, we could really take this globally much, much quicker than we've anticipated with a more limited budget for funding. So it really depends on who we attract in as a partner. I'm keeping my mind and my ambition open for both of them. If we go for, we're looking for 3 million at the end of the year. If we go for that, it will be a much more organic growth with proof of concept and then eventually creating a halo effect between the B2B and the B2C. If we get a much bigger pot of money, then we can really go for it. And what's brilliant about that, Julia, is that we've already got a global team in place. So we've already got people in different regions who have been sourcing supply chain for us. And we could very quickly mobilize teams, like proper teams there to do the B2C and the B2B.
It's really exciting. I love your ambition for scaling this business. It sounds like it's got huge potential, and can't wait for it to launch, because I want to go and buy things from you. Well, not new things. I want to kind of buy things that are sustainable, and it is difficult. So there's definitely a gap for what you're doing. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your journey so far, right at the beginning of your journey. So I'm sure there is lots more to come. And we will definitely be following Bamboo with great interest. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Julia. I really, really loved being on your show.
Thanks for following Fundraising Stories with Female Founders. This content is all provided to you for free. So if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe so you never miss another one. Enter the Arena has helped hundreds of female founders fly through pre-raise and investment and onto the exponential growth of their business. Our first-hand experience, expert guidance, and proven programs help female founders unleash the Wonder Woman inside. To see if we can help you do the same, head over to www.enterthearena.co.uk. I'm Julia Elliott Brown, and I look forward to talking with you soon.